Hi guys, thank you for joining me today for a short ride and my opinion on Yamaha's fairly new entry to the touring segment. We're talking about Yamaha Niken GT. Please do keep in mind that everything I say in this video is nothing more than my opinion and experience with a particular motorcycle. Since I haven't tried other Yamaha Niken bikes, I cannot extend this here experience to the model in general. To cover my behind from anything funny and legal coming its way, your experiences may vary. Let's start with the most obvious stuff, the looks. To say it looks weird is to be extremely polite. Weird doesn't even start to cover it. Those two wheels on the front with their inverted double telescopic forks attract attention from a mile away. It's not the only bike with two wheels at the front, it's not even the first three-wheeler Yamaha made, but it's the only one with dual stanchions per side on the outside. That look reminds me of some insect ready to pounce. That resemblance continues onto the dual LED headlights. I can't say this bike turns heads, but it does attract attention of other bikers. If that's important for you, then it could be the bike to consider. And I did not say that the attention is always positive, no. I've heard enough negative comments during that one day of riding. But if standing out in the crowd is your thing, that might very well be your bike. Before I get to nitpicking, let's cover ergonomics. And let me start with the best feature of the bike, its seat. Oh my god, this thing is long, wide, grippy and comfortable. It's not too easy to find a bike on which I don't look like a circus bear riding a tricycle. Just to put it in perspective, one of the bikes I've ridden recently was a 2021 Indian Roadmaster. The thing was tiny for my 6'4", 250 pounds frame. I couldn't see the dials and didn't care much for music either, since my knees were almost covering my ears. Not so on the Niken. I found a comfortable riding position right away and could change it on a go, no problemo. There was enough seat left for me to slide back and stretch, and it was still comfortable sitting all the way at the front, hugging the tank with my knees. I guess that's where being long pays off. I wouldn't say the same about the pillion seat on the Niken though. It's tiny, it is narrow, it is flat, and it is downright uncomfortable. I believe there's a special place in hell reserved for pillion seat designers, and whoever has designed this one has a dedicated spot in the hottest vat of boiling tar. The grips are nicely placed and are comfortable enough. They also have a free position heating, which I only tried since it was 26 centigrade and no additional heating was necessary. Oh, before I go to meh and OMG stuff, I love the mirrors. They're one of the best mirrors I've seen on a bike. The position is just perfect, adjustability is out of this world, and since they're built into the front cowl, they stay clean no matter what. The image was nice and crisp, and you'll understand it in a minute why it is so important on the Niken. Now onto meh, as I promised. There's actually not a lot of that on the Niken. It is indeed a very polarizing motorcycle, and not only for people looking at it. Most of the stuff on it is either great or god awful. So the middle ground is fairly empty except for those three things. The controls. They are scattered all over the place. I know, ride it long enough and you'll get used to it, but even after a full day riding, I was still not impressed with how it was handled by Yamaha. Some of the buttons and switches required such a long reach that I decided to test them at a standstill. Wouldn't want to crash a rental now, would I? The second thing is the quick shifter. Don't get me wrong, the thing worked, but it did so only switching up, and I wouldn't call its operation smooth. Sometimes the change was crisp and clean, and other times it just wasn't. Mind you, 4th to 5th and 5th to 6th changes were almost smooth and nice. The third meh about the bike is the instrument panel. It is there, it works. I didn't go blind in direct sunlight, and it was great. What's not so great is seeing that staple of mediocrity on a fairly expensive bike. Instruments is something the rider looks at all the time, and I'd say it should be the last thing a company saves money on, but that's just me in my opinion. Alright, the stuff you're about to hear is not so nice, so please do keep an open mind about it. And do remember that this is just my opinion. I'll kick it off with my biggest gripe about this bike, the vibrations. They're ever present, all permeating, hand numbing and experience robbing. When I just got on the Niken, jokes started to form in my head on how this bike is a girl's best friend, and how it's a marital aid on par with a womanizer, and how it's the only bike which can help you get girls. All you need is for them to sit on it whilst it's running, but I'm telling you, those vibrations are no joke. If that scoot didn't have a cruise control, it would have been unusable for anything but very short rides. My hands fell asleep within the first 30 minutes of riding. If you look at the rear suspension clip, you'll see how a passenger foot peg pin is rotating due to vibrations. I wasn't able to find any revs where the bike would calm down. That 3-part setup might be the bee's knees, but it defo buzzes like one. With that, I'm shifting to my second issue with Niken: power, or should I say the lack of thereof. It doesn't seem weak on paper. 115 ponies and 65 pound-feet is not something to sneeze at. But when you look at the 10,000 revs of power and 8.5 of torques and realize that the vibrations only get worse with the revs, it stops being all fun and games. And then you look at the Niken's weight. Oh my god. No matter how you put it, Niken is underpowered, and it feels just that. You really have to flog it to get anything out. I'd say there is still a lot of work to be done on that inline 3-cylinder in the Niken. Funny enough, it performs just fine and is getting nothing but praise when used in Yamaha's own MT-09. Another big flop for the Niken is it being a trike. No matter what Yamaha has to say about it and whatever it calls it, it is a trike. All the potholes are yours unless you're willing to swirl on the road like a maniac. If you manage to avoid a bump with either of your front wheels, the rear hits it. And the same applies in reverse. And when you do hit that hole, the Niken shudders like a car with a bent brake rotor. That seat might be comfortable, but it alone isn't enough to keep you so. And yes, the rear suspension is adjustable. It just wasn't adjustable enough for my weight. Alright, listen guys, I've got enough niggles left to keep droning on for another 10-15 minutes, but I won't. The biggest problem of the Niken lies elsewhere. Ryan FortNine has already said it way ahead of me. It just doesn't know what it wants to be. Everything seems half-arsed on it, underdone, under-engineered, you name it. This is Tori, and thank you for staying with me, and I hope you enjoyed this little video of mine.